one game away. Blow up. We're playing for something, man. We're playing for something. Just gotta mean something, you. They gotta mean something. Everything you got. Let's finish this.
Do it, fellas.
Let's go.
Let's do it, fellas.
Finish 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Finish.
You ready to make history? Come on now. Yeah. You know, there's these 2 words. And when I say them, people get goosebumps cause they know what happens next. So without further ado,
Free smoke.
look. Scared cause I'm drowning in silence with bad thoughts. These days I don't have nothing to say, man, the bag talks. I put in headphones on my driver. Pull up to the spot and give a good dick and Godiva. I can't lie, I'm uninspired. No more pillow talking about nonsense. I only stick around to put some band-aids on my conscience. I don't know why I feel so bad, nigga. That's what we do, no foundation. We don't build no more, we just screw. Half a bottle of Henny, girl, I'm going with the wind. The same niggas say they happy for me, ain't want me to win. So I'm done on my friends. Don't need help popping Coronas and reminiscing. I just call up Big Bro J and say it's time for venting. If I live forever, I hold this hate for some centuries. You don't know how much or how you doing would admit to me, but motherfuck all that. I don't even offer up the time to make the call back. Stupid Lodo, if they don't get the picture now, man, I crop them out of the photo. I can't relate to my peers. Been doing this shit for years. I'm motivated by fears. I took the wheel and I steer. My sound not dictated by fuck boys in Atlanta. Stay gifted like this album was ghost written by Santa. Boss forever like they decided to throw me under slammer. Every song's a hit like they picture me underhanders. I could drop 1,000,000 songs, but they never gon' understand us. Soapbox sermons for niggas never giving chances. Fight our whole lives to get these weak ass advances. Work twice as hard for the shit that they getting handed. And this ain't even nothing we chose, nigga, we branded. Still can't tell why all of these niggas mad at me. I'm trying to get 100 so I can put my team on salary. Give it all to the art, man, I turn my life to a gallery. Man, damn, what a fucked up masterpiece. 1,100 shots and I swear, man, I felt them all. If we ain't even good on our blocks, man, who can we call? Pre-decline state of mind, we broke crabs in the barrel. Got us fighting our folk, man, this shit just a life of peril.
Winning has a price. And leadership has a price.
I know I'm better than this. I know. I'm just praying for the Lord to deliver me from pick sixes.
I bet you wonder where I've been. Hey, welcome back to another episode of the recap. If you done listen to Big X the Plug before he I was talking to my homie about this the other day. I don't know what it is about big rappers, bro. It's like they got like a catchphrase before they start rapping. Like Rick Ross's catchphrase was, before he started rapping. Big X the Plug's little, what do I want to call his little sound before he start spitting. Ay. But I like how he flow on the beat, man. I like Big X the Plug. I really like how I was listening to Shabuzi is just. First off, thank you for being here. I know it's been a minute, probably feel like a month. I know I sound sick right now. It's just I got a stuffy nose. I'm not actually sick right now. I can't remember what it's called. I guess I am sick. You guess I could say I don't feel sick. It's just my nose has just been trashed. It's been stuffy for like the last couple days or so. But I haven't been here the last month because first I had strep throat again. And that lasted a little bit longer than I thought it would. But like a week after I had strep throat, I ended up catching the flu. And I caught the flu, and that lasted for like 2 weeks. And immediately after catching the flu, somehow I caught COVID. So the last month or so, I done been sick as shit. I cannot remember the last time in my life that I was sick for this long of a time. Like, I don't know how. I'm gonna just tell you, working in a warehouse, yo, and I probably still won't do it even after being as sick as I done been, but you probably really should invest in wearing face masks and shit, because the illnesses and sickness and the dirtiness of a warehouse and the people who don't, people coughing and touching stuff and shit like that, this stuff don't get clean, don't get wiped down. the way it should. The trucks never get clean. They always dirty. The boxes be dusty. It's just so easy to catch illnesses. But I have missed you guys. I missed you guys, and I've missed talking about sports because so much has happened since the last time we talked. So it's going to be a long show tonight. I imagine you could imagine this would be a long show tonight. So, back to what I was saying earlier. I was listening to this song by Shabuzi. Shabuzi got a couple hits, yo. Shabuzi really haven't put out no bad track for me yet. I like his song, Vegas, I think is what it's called. I like his song, Bar Song. I like this other song I just heard, Good News. Never gonna walk in my shoes. That shit is tough. That's like the little catchy little. I need some good news. I don't know the lyrics to it yet, as you can see. I do know the little twang part where the devil couldn't walk in my shoes. That shit is tough. All I really need is. But then his other song, that whistling beat, yo, that whistle country beat on Drink Don't Need No Mix. Drink don't need no mix. What the f is this? I'm trying to get faded, baby. This ain't gonna do shit. That song's tough too. Shabuzi makes some hits, man. He had a nice little performance on Thanksgiving. I did not get to talk about his performance on Thanksgiving because I haven't done a show since before Thanksgiving. But great performance by Shabuzi on Thanksgiving. Then he followed it up with a good SNL performance also. So Shabuzi just killing it out here right now. But let's get into football because we are in week 15 in the NFL season. So much has happened. The playoffs is pretty much set. But we do have like one or two, far out there shots for certain teams like the Falcons, the Bengals. I don't think the Bengals going to make the playoffs, but the Dallas Cowboys. It's still some teams that's mathematically not eliminated yet, but to me, they are. The Falcons are the only ones that have a legitimate, real chance still to make the playoffs. And we'll get into the Falcons later on also. But actually, before I start talking about football, because I was seeing something on Twitter these past couple days. First off, congratulations to Travis Hunter, who just won the 2024 Heisman Trophy in college football. I think he also won the Defensive Player of the Year also. Like, Travis Hunter stacked up a couple awards this year. Shout out to him. A phenomenal year for him. For some reason, though, shout out to Deion Sanders also, man. Shout out to Shador. Shador had to pass on the ball, but the defensive side of the ball. Shout out to Deion Sanders for Coach Prime for allowing him to play both sides of the ball. Because there's some coaches who ain't allowing you to play both sides of the ball, especially because certain coaches are going to be like, you can't play like that in college, bro. In the NFL, I want you to focus in on one side. And it's not like they're not trying to help Travis. They just want him to be great at one position so they can secure he get to the league. And it might not I'm still interested to see how Travis Hunter is evaluated and drafted going into the NFL and what position he going to end up playing. And I can see him playing both sides of the ball in football, but I can't see him playing both sides of the ball for the majority of a game. Like, I can see him, if he get drafted to play corner, he playing corner probably 80-90% of the game, but I can see him coming in for a few plays on the offensive side of the ball. If he get drafted as a receiver, I can see him playing receiver 90% of the game and having some plays where he come in on the defensive side of the ball. But I don't believe that when he get to the NFL, he'll play both sides of the ball. But I could be wrong. I want to talk about, though, something that I've been looking at the last couple days pertaining to Travis Hunter. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I am just more and more confused with human beings because shit that don't have nothing to do. People seem to like tending to other people's business, and I just don't understand it. Travis Hunter's fiance, I believe it is. He engaged to marry this woman. I don't know her name, but Twitter and Social media, yo, I'm telling you, broke people seem to have the most time to sit around and analyze people who actually have money and have dreams and aspirations of doing things in life. So while those people are out there trying to accomplish things, I'm starting to realize a lot of broke people sit around on social media all day, judging and critiquing and talking shit about everything that's going on in these people's lives. What Travis Hunter's girlfriend or fiance does, I don't understand why that has anything to do with any of you niggas. However, you continuously make it your business to get into these celebrities, these athletes, these rich people, these people of some type of... Y'all continue to want to insert y'all opinions and beliefs and thoughts into what they do on an everyday basis. It makes no sense. The hatred that some of these young niggas, and you... It ain't even young niggas. The hatred that you broke niggas have for people with money, it have to be studied. It's an absolute disease at this point. I don't understand it, but I don't understand why y'all give a damn about what's going on with Travis Hunter's fiance. She don't stand. She had to be nudged to stand at a Travis Hunter's award thing. Bro, do you think I give a flying fuck about why? We already done established I don't give a fuck. I'm trying to understand, why do you guys give a fuck about what's going on? So what? She didn't stand. That's not your fiance. Travis Hunter, you might be a fan of his, but you're not his mom, you're not his dad, you're not his brother, you're not his sister, you're not his cousin, you're not a relative, you're not his coach, you're not anybody who he talks to on an everyday basis, whose opinion would matter to him. So I don't understand. And what's crazy is you say you're a fan, but the first thing y'all want to do is get on Twitter or get on the social media and take shots at his fiance. That's insanity. I don't understand it. I'm a fan of his, but I'm also finna get on here and go at his fiance because I like him and I'm basically protecting him. What? Like, yo, I don't understand what made y'all believe y'all can live other niggas' lives for them. I don't care if Travis Hunter's fiance is a good person, bad person, cheated, don't cheat. I don't care. It's not my business. I'm not somebody who's supposed to be protecting Travis Hunter. Like, and neither are y'all. So I don't understand this addiction. And not only do y'all take shit too far that has nothing to fucking do with y'all, but I don't even realize this. I don't even think y'all understand how fucking annoying y'all actually are. Like, we like to believe that because, well, not we. There's people out there who choose to believe that just because people have money or they date somebody with money, that it don't matter what you say about them, how much you talk about them, they should be able to just take it in stride because they got money. Not to mention, I don't understand why some of you believe that just because somebody is rich, somebody dating a rich person, that immediately meant that they signed up for their whole lives to be put on display and to be critiqued by it. That is not. That's just what broke people choose to do. And that's one of the laws that broke people believe is an unwritten law. If you get rich, we could judge your life. Your life is for our enjoyment. That's not true. Nonetheless, you had a problem with him putting his fiance in an Adidas commercial. You got a problem with how his fiance carried herself at his award ceremony when he received the Heisman. You got a like it makes no sense at this point. Like, he is not fucking y'all. He don't even know you niggas. But for some reason, because you feel like you a fan and you feel like you protecting Travis Hunter's best interest in his honor, you go online and constantly go at this man's fiance. I don't know if you niggas is stupid or dumb, or like Chris Broussard said, is this man retarded? Because I am just... the insanity of all the comments I done seen about this man's fiance. Y'all broke niggas really ain't got shit else to do. So shout out to Travis Hunter. Now the only thing I will say, I do wish that Travis Hunter's fiance, and I do understand that it's hard to do what I'm about to say, but she just released a video, and I don't agree with her releasing that video for the simple reason, you cannot let these annoying ass broke people get to you. Okay? You just cannot let that happen. I understand they might have hurt your feelings, and I'm not saying that to be facetious. Like, people believe there's certain things you can't say because it's childish, right? People, if you say, "Oh, you hurt my feelings," people look at that as childish. But when you truly look, if somebody look at you in your face and tell you, "Damn, bro, you really just hurt my feelings," like that's probably the best way they resort into like such a truthful, childish term of, "Yeah, you hurt my feelings." Like, she may have truly had her feelings hurt. She may truly have been in a dark place and seeing the comments, seeing people talk so crazy and negative about her. I'm starting to realize you motherfuckers think y'all got the best interest in people, but you don't know how to address yourselves or carry yourselves or address the situation in a proper way. That's what I realized. And I don't know if it's coming from a place of being broke niggas or hateful niggas. I really don't know. But if you want her to be better, it was ways that you, even though I still think it's none of y'all fucking business, y'all still could have addressed that in a completely different way. Instead, y'all used hate and all this negative rhetoric to go at this woman. I never understand that. I'll never understand it. Like, you tell me that you care about victims of sexual assault and things like that, but Jay-Z was just accused of that. And instead of hearing both sides of the story, you immediately started to go crazy at Jay-Z just because you hate rich people and all things like that. Then it come out that he was innocent, and now crickets. That the victim, that the accuser was lying. The lawyers. It's just, I don't understand how y'all. You niggas are stupid. That's basically what I'm starting to realize. You niggas are stupid. Like, this, y'all do not have other people's best interests in heart. Y'all do not care about the things that y'all say y'all care about. Y'all niggas is just broke and got way too much time on y'all hands. That's truly what it is. Y'all broke, don't have any dreams, aspirations of not being broke, and you hate people who ain't broke and in piss poor situations like yourself. So you walk around hating. I don't get it. I really don't. But it is what it is. Anyways, we had 2 Monday Night Football games tonight. Chicago, Minnesota, Atlanta, Vegas. Now, I done said this multiple times, I'm not a fan of having 2 Monday Night Football games. I don't understand. In the year of 2024, I do not understand. Matter of fact, it's not even that I don't understand it, even though I don't. But in our year of 2024 of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, I do not understand why we are still devaluing primetime, what used to be primetime spots. And what I mean when I say that is, Monday Night Football, Sunday Night Football, Thursday Night Football used to be primetime spots. Those used to be some of the best games of the week. Those were the times where you know you was finna get a standalone game, and more times than not, it was going to be one of the better games of that week. However, now we doing this shit where you got 2 football games on a Monday night. Sometimes these niggas will put 3. You got bad Sunday Night Football games, and for some reason they used to flex them hoes out before, but now they don't flex bad football games out of prime time. You'll have multiple teams playing in these primetime spots that have absolutely no shot at making the playoffs. You got Thanksgiving Day games that are absolute ass beatings throughout the entirety of the slate. You got teams playing in primetime who not only have no chance in making the playoffs, but don't even have good rosters. Like, it'd be one thing to put Cincinnati in primetime. They still have a phenomenal offense. It's a whole nother issue to put the New York Giants in primetime. Not just because the Giants do have a couple good players, but they don't have players that change the outcome enough to where you say, yeah, we want to see them. They don't. So, and maybe that's what I'm looking for. It's some of these teams don't even have box office appeal, and they still be put in primetime. Dallas, one of the worst teams in the league, and we done had to see them in primetime multiple times this year, as we have with the Giants and the Jets. So, I just don't understand this continuing to devalue primetime games. But that's not for me to understand either. Chicago, Minnesota was the game that I watched. I caught snippets of the Atlanta Vegas game, but both of these games were against one team Minnesota's going to make the playoffs, but Atlanta could make the playoffs. Neither Vegas nor Chicago is making the playoffs, so both games was pretty much, and it were stakes in this game for both teams that had playoff aspirations. So that's the only reason most people would watch this, unless you was just fans of the team. But I had no interest in watching Atlanta Vegas. But from what I did see, Kirk Cousins, I mean, he done had a rough month plus because the interceptions, the turnovers, the lack of touchdowns. And tonight really wasn't no better. I mean, he did throw a touchdown, but he threw another interception tonight. And the offense just looked bad for the Atlanta Falcons. I don't know how much time Kirk Cousins got left with Atlanta as a starting quarterback. I do not imagine they'll make a change before the end of the season, for the simple reason they still have a playoff chance. I think maybe when it becomes mathematically impossible for them to make the playoffs, which I don't know if that'll happen before the end of those 3 games, but I don't think we're going to see Penix this year. Now, it's a possibility we could see him next year, but I don't know how the Falcons will approach it next year. But I do think they'll look at how bad Kirk Cousins done been these last couple weeks and look at the fact that at one point in time, you were the number 1 team in the NFC South. And now, with a great record, and you were over 500, you had just swept the Bucs, and now the Bucs are a game ahead of you in the division and probably are going to make the playoffs. But if the Bucs falter, because it's possible that the Bucs can falter, I don't look at the Bucs and say, "Oh yeah, this is a team that will not fail." No, Bucs can still. Baker could go on a turnover spree these last 3 games of the season, so I understand that the Falcons have a real chance to make the playoffs still. However, you do yourself a real disservice when you sweep the number 1 team in the division before they were number 1 in the division, your biggest comp in the division, and you still find yourselves behind that team in the division. Like that's crazy. The way the Falcons offense done looked in the last couple weeks has been terrible. Kirk Cousins has played bad football. I just don't. It could be age catching up with Kirk Cousins. I don't know. Maybe he aging a little faster. Maybe the injury. I don't really know. But what I will say is this. It'll be very interesting what they decide to do in the offseason, because do you look at Kirk Cousins and how he finished this season if they don't make the playoffs? You already done paid him. And the way Kirk do his contracts, he gonna get his money. Do you give him a leash to start next season and then bench him if he not playing good? Or do you go into next season with the hope that Michael Penix Jr. is your starting quarterback? It's gonna be interesting for the Falcons, but I do know when you basically lay an egg the way when you blow the division, the way the Falcons have blown this division over the last couple weeks, it's not going to be one of them off seasons where it was like, well, we did more than we had. Nah, the Falcons, we did as best as we could and we made improvement. Nah, the Falcons were expecting to be a playoff team, so, and they should have been a playoff team. So it's going to be interesting what they do with the Falcons in the offseason. But I want to talk about Chicago, Minnesota. This was a boring game for a good portion of this game. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even want to say boring. It just wasn't a ton of scoring. Then the Vikings got it going again late. Justin Jefferson could have scored 2 touchdowns early if he didn't. He was wide open about to stroll in for a touchdown, but he took his eyes off the ball and had turned upfield before he actually secured the pass. It could have got real ugly real quick in this game, but it didn't. I want to talk about both quarterbacks, but first let me talk about this defense for Minnesota. They done had a takeaway in every single game this year. It's a great defense. Brian Flores is doing a hell of a job with this defense. I do still think it's a defense that can be had, but when the majority of your competition is in the NFC, if you watch the show, you know how I feel about NFC teams. Because it's not a legitimate superstar quarterback playing in the NFC right now, the closest you have is like Stafford sometimes, Jordan Love, but he's still young, and Jaden Daniels, but he's still young also. You don't really have a Lamar, Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. You don't have those level of quarterbacks over there. Hell, y'all be talking about the best quarterbacks in the NFC be Jared Goff, Baker Mayfield. Just shit. I done seen people say Sam Darnold this year. I'm giving Sam Darnold a lot of credit. He done had a hell of a year this year. He still turned the ball over quite a bit, but he done had a hell of a year this year. To me, it's not really much about Sam. I don't want to take nothing away from Sam Darnold. It's really, though, it's showing me how great a coach Kevin O'Connell is. And I've seen people talk about should they bring Sam Darnold back next year. And it's good a year, and this is probably the best season of Sam Darnold's career. And he did have a dumbass turnover in this game where he just turned ahead and tossed the ball up and said, shit, Justin might be down there somewhere, and it got picked off. But he do make a lot of good throws. Now, granted, Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison and Aaron Jones and I'm forgetting the tight end's name at the moment, but Hawkins, TJ Hawkinson, and they have a hell of an offense. Like, they have weapons galore over their offense. And shout out to my boy Aaron Jones. Like, Josh Jacobs has been great for the Packers, but I'm happy to see Aaron Jones is still doing great with the Vikings. His career wasn't over. Shout out to Aaron Jones. He's just a stud to me. He had a play in this game that was crazy. But on a long third down, he caught like a little check down route and took that bit. It almost looked kind of like the hey diddle diddle Ray Rice up the middle shit, but some of you might be too young to understand that reference. Nonetheless, when I watch Sam Darnold, as good as he done been this year, to me, I don't look at it and say Sam Darnold is just this otherworldly quarterback. I say he got great weapons that, I mean, Justin Jefferson it's few dudes who run routes as good as Justin Jefferson. And Jordan Addison run a hell of a route also, but you got those type of weapons at your disposal. And not only that, you have an offensive mind and a head coach, because the head coach is the offensive play caller, who can put it all together. He understands how to put players in position to be successful. He understands how to put his quarterback in position to be successful. And one thing I'm going to say, Minnesota done gotten so much out of backup quarterbacks. I don't know if it's a team to get more out of backup quarterbacks than the Vikings. I mean, shit, Kirk Cousins was a backup in Washington and turned into a starter. Well, he was a starter coming from Washington, but he was a backup at one point in time, and you could say his best years was in Minnesota. You look at what they done with Case Keenum. You look at what they doing right now with Sam Darnold. I know it's different iterations and different coaches that it's done happen with, but maybe the Vikings just had a juice, and it's probably other dudes that I'm not thinking of right now that's done been backups that had great seasons in Minnesota. But as far as the conversation of should they keep Sam Darnold long term, should they give him a contract extension, I don't think that they should, and this is why. It's not because I don't believe in Sam Darnold, but it's not that I don't think that he deserves, to be paid as a backup somewhere that could be a good backup for you and come in and play. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you just drafted J.J. McCarthy. If you see what he just got out of Sam Darnold, and we know what Sam Darnold was before he got to Minnesota, but look at what, and I don't want to hear that shit, well, it's the Jets. I'm not trying to hear that shit. You see what Sam Darnold was before he got to Minnesota this year. If you are Kevin O'Connell and you say to yourself, look at what I just did with Sam Darnold, I don't know why you wouldn't think you could do the same thing with J.J. McCarthy. Sam Darnold, to me, is not playing out of this world football. He's not having an MVP season. He's just having a really good season. J.J. McCarthy can duplicate this season. To me, Kevin O'Connell is really showing that. Now, I don't agree with what I'm about to say, but I'm about to say something. But just know I agree with it in a sense, but I don't actually agree with it. Just hear me out. Kevin O'Connell is showing me right now that he can win with any quarterback. However, and that's a good thing, you do not want that to become a thing. You still want J.J. McCarthy to be an actual franchise quarterback that can get you to a Super Bowl and win it. Because just because you can win with any quarterback don't mean you can win the big game with any quarterback. Because you still going to have to, if you're in the NFC, the team that you have to beat, fuck the team. You either playing Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow in the Super Bowl. Maybe Stroud, maybe Herbert down the line. but you for sure playing Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, or Lamar. No quarterback in the NFC would I take over any of them quarterbacks. No team in the NFC would I take over any team led by those quarterbacks. So you don't want to get into the habit of saying we can win with any quarterback, because Kyle Shanahan went a lot with different quarterbacks. But you notice he haven't had that one quarterback that can get him over that quarterback, Pat Mahomes. So I don't actually agree with, it's a good thing that, like Kevin Stefanski offense seemed to work with every quarterback except for Deshaun Watson, interestingly. But you notice he can't seem to get the big game wins over the top tier quarterback. And I'm not talking about like in the regular season, even though, because Kevin Stefanski is a hell of a coach. But even Kevin Stefanski understand, I need an actual franchise quarterback. Now Kevin Stefanski kind of fucked right now because I think that the Browns are going to, I saw a report this week that said Deshaun Watson will be the starter next year. And at this point, I don't even think they hope Deshaun Watson, well, no, they're going to always hope he can get back to playing great football because they're paying him. But I truly believe the way they offsetting his contract is they're just going to force Deshaun Watson to be the starter for the length of the contract. They are not going to release this nigga knowing that they're going to have that type of cap hit. They are going to force Deshaun Watson to be the starter come hell or high water, even if that nigga don't want to be the starter no more. If we still got to pay you this nigga, you starting if you healthy. Point blank period. I think that's where the Browns is. And I'm going to be completely honest with you. I done said it before. I think that's smart. Because if you already made a dumb decision by giving him the contract, you might as well not compound that stupidity by releasing him, knowing that that's going to fuck you up even worse, because then you really can't afford to bring people in because of that cap hit that you're going to suffer the next couple years. You might as well keep that nigga on the team and force him to play quarterback. Though the best thing that happens is he become a good quarterback again. The worst thing is you continue to do what's been happening over the last couple years. But that's the price you pay. You either do that or you take a enormous cap hit. I think the Browns handling this the absolute best way they possibly can. And to be honest with you, I don't know too many other teams that will have the success that the Browns and the little bit of success that Kevin Stefanski done had, as far as like, I'm not saying little bit as in like it's minute success, but the success he done had dealing with this Deshaun Watson problem is actually probably more than most quarterbacks could have got anyways, because not only is he having to deal with Deshaun Watson's bad play, regression at the quarterback position and being hurt, but he also had to deal with the backup quarterback eventually coming in, starting and seeing what he can get. So to me, Kevin Stefanski is like, shout out Kevin Stefanski. But like I said, it's nothing against Sam Darnold or what he done this season. But I just think if you Kevin O'Connell, you look at JJ McCarthy and you say, why would we give Sam Darnold a big extension or an extension of any type of significance when we have JJ McCarthy? And on top of that, the reason I don't think you bring him back to be the backup, because I know it'll be people who say, well, we should bring him back as a backup. I know a lot of Vikings fans will say that, because right now what you have to understand is Viking fans don't care about what Sam Darnold did with any team he was on before he was with the Vikings. The Vikings have seen this version of Sam Darnold, and they are fans. They gonna rock with him, and I get that. However, that's the problem. If JJ McCarthy go through a stretch next year where he struggle, or he not playing good football, or they not winning games because of JJ McCarthy, the fans are gonna start, as insane as it is, fans are gonna start chanting for Sam Darnold. Not because Sam Darnold is a good quarterback, but because they've seen Sam Darnold win. They've seen the Vikings win with Sam Darnold as the quarterback. So all they see is this year and the success they had. And if JJ McCarthy struggled at any point this next year, they're going to immediately start cheering for Sam Darnold. You do not want that for your young quarterback. You don't want him having to look over his shoulder. You don't want him having to worry about being benched for Sam Darnold. You don't want... We done seen that issue fuck up teams multiple times. We saw it when it was in Philadelphia we saw it with Robert Griffin III and Kirk Cousins. We saw it in Philadelphia with Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. Like, we see how these teams, especially just players who just don't have a brain at this point, we saw it in New York. Like, you do not want to create this problem for your young quarterback where you kill his confidence, because fans don't even understand how quick they can kill a quarterback's confidence, clearly, or a player's confidence. So if I'm Minnesota, you thank Sam Darnold for what he did for you this year, but Sam Darnold also should be thanking you because you got Sam Darnold paid. Like, it's no doubt about it. This year for Sam Darnold is going to get him paid somewhere. It just can't be in Minnesota. If you're serious about being a great franchise going forward, if you're serious about giving J.J. McCarthy a legitimate chance to become a franchise quarterback for your team, you cannot bring Sam Darnold back next year. As a backup, as a starter, as none of that. He got to be gone. And you got to appreciate him for what he did for you. It's thank yous both ways. And then it's a respectful parting of ways. And you wish each other best on your future endeavors unless you have to play each other. That's how I think the Sam Darnold situation need to be addressed. But going over to the Bears quarterback situation, and I'm glad I'm finna talk about the Chicago Bears, because Chicago fired Matt Eberflus, and I don't think I did a show around the time he got fired, because I don't agree with the firing. Fans continue to act like they know coaching, they understand how coaching works, and a good coach and a bad coach. And I will continue to say, these morons on Twitter and these idiots on ESPN and Fox and all these other networks that just continuously went at Matt Eberflus. Niggas is acting like Matt Eberflus was a 4, 5, 6 year coach. Buddy was in his second fucking year. And to me, it is infuriating that Matt Eberflus was fired as a head coach in Chicago. Because for one, he was not doing a bad job. Matt Eberflus is a defensive-minded head coach. His defense was not a problem. Not to mention, that nigga had to come in last year with a quarterback he already more than likely did not want in Justin Fields. Chicago also did not want Justin Fields, because if they did, they would have picked up his option. They chose not to because they knew this was we're probably going with a different option next year. But they made Matt Eberflus coach that nigga. Then you bring in a rookie quarterback in Caleb Williams. I'm starting to realize these NFL team scouts should be fired, because these scouts are not scouting these players properly. That's what I'm starting to realize for most of these teams. And that's why most of these teams continue to be bad. Maybe Caleb Williams really is better than what we seeing him do right now. And he a rookie. You got to remember that. But I know we're going to look at Bo Nix and we're going to look at Jaden Daniels and say, why is the number one pick in the draft, why does he not look as good as those two? They rookies also. And even they make rookie mistakes, but they still look better than him. And I agree. But maybe Washington scout understood that Jaden Daniels would fit their scheme and what they do, or he understood that the coach would put a scheme in place that could fit Jaden Daniels. Clearly, Chicago didn't do the same with Caleb Williams, because nothing is working. And one of my biggest things in Chicago is people kept blaming Eberflus. They kept blaming Eberflus when Eberflus undone way more good than bad. The Thanksgiving play, I understand how you would try to blame that on Eberflus. And I'm not even saying Eberflus is blameless in that situation. But Caleb Williams take a lot of bad sacks. And in that Thanksgiving game, on that drive, he took 2 bad sacks. He took a sack the previous week before that on a drive that killed the game for them. Caleb Williams hold on to the ball far too long. He takes terrible sacks because sometimes he play like he's still in college. It's as if he don't realize the shit you... Some of the shit you got away with in college, you can't get away with in the NFL. I even understand you looking at dudes like Lamar, Daniels, or certain quarterbacks make these crazy plays. This is the NFL, my boy. Those dudes might just be special. It might just be their day. But you cannot rely on trying to make college level plays What you did in college at the highest level is not the same in the NFL. I understand we look at Lamar Jackson, we say, man, this motherfucker brought what he did in college and he doing that in the NFL. How many other niggas is doing that on a weekly basis? The problem I have is that people judge Matt Eberflus as if he was some veteran head coach, like he was making some of the biggest mistakes we'd have ever seen. You look at these franchises, and then the Bears. Bro, what are you doing? You fired this nigga off of the fans and off of the media? What are you doing? This is why you're a bad franchise now. Cleveland could have fired Kevin Stefanski about probably 3 years. They could have fired him multiple times throughout his tenure. And instead, they continue to stick with him and not listen to the fans or if a media. They continue to trust a head coach and understand we haven't put the greatest rosters, or he is certain issues that's done prevented him from getting to where he need to get to, or where we think he can get us to. And it's big issues like the quarterback. Eberflus has a first-year quarterback. And he is not an offensive-minded head coach. These expectations we put on him is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Like, to me, Eberflus should still be, and you want to know what's the worst part about this Eberflus thing? Because he should still be hired right now to me. Eberflus probably won't get another head coaching job anytime soon. Because what he done put on display on his resume in just 2 years or a year and a half, even though how unfair it is not something where you look at it and say, unless you're just a great GM or something, you don't look at it and say, yeah, Eberflus on the top of my list. You rather go with a young offensive mind, the Ben Johnsons of the world. Not even if they're young, you know what I'm saying? You might want the Ravens offensive coordinator. So, to me, the Bears is just a funky ass organization. I don't think that Matt Eberflus should have been fired. Matt Eberflus was a good trending upward head coach to me. To look at the Chicago Bears and think that Matt Eberflus was supposed to have that team over 500 by a lot and competing in this division that they are in is insane to me. It's absolutely insane. Like, look at how many different head coaches could have been fired early. And it's no surprise to me that y'all always calling for the same head coaches every year. John Harbaugh, y'all want him fired. Mike Tomlin, y'all want him fired. I don't get it. Like, to me, this is why I don't listen to you Twitter niggas or you social media niggas talk about head coaches. I don't listen to Raven fans talk about John Harbaugh. I don't listen to these idiotic ass fans talk about what they think a good or bad quarterback is. Head coach is. Because clearly, they don't understand what a good and bad head coach is. Niggas just look at the final product and say, or the final result as in the stats. They look at Caleb Williams struggling and say, that's got to be on the head coach. That's got to be on the head coach. And then they look at the win-loss record and say, that's on the head coach. Nothing else matters. Not growth, not the development, not where. Because Caleb Williams is not playing better football than Bo Nix or Jaden Daniels. Caleb Williams is dudes that he missing. That's right. Like, his first option will be open and he'll look off of him. Nigga, throw him the ball. Like, I'm not even understanding what I'm seeing from Caleb Williams right now, to be honest with you. It's times in the game where he looked great, but for the majority of the game, he looks bad. And I don't understand. One of the things I'm going to say that I don't know is helping Caleb Williams. I done seen the stories, and I done read the stories about Caleb Williams not being the most coachable player. He got a bad attitude, yada, yada, yada. I don't care about that. I know some people say I should, but I don't care about that right now. My problem with the Bears for the majority of this season, and I haven't been able to talk about it the last couple weeks, is DJ Moore. You niggas already had irritated me because of how y'all overranked this nigga all these years. That was first. Coming out of Carolina, DJ Moore was not a number one receiver. He was number one in Carolina because he was all Carolina had. But he's not a number one receiver to me. I've always felt that way. This nigga's attitude and body language Bro, this nigga act like he like T.O. or Randy Moss or somebody. Shout out to Randy Moss. Prayers up to him. I hope he get better. But, bro, DJ Moore carried him. Like, his attitude and his body language in some of these games is just the fucking worst. And I don't know how you think that helped your quarterback, especially if you think your quarterback already is not the greatest leader in the world. He not the most receptive to being taught and things like that. If you truly feel that way, why do we got a receiver walking around carrying himself in the way he do on national TV at times throughout these games? I mean, his attitude and shit just look the worst. Like, I can't imagine having to be like, my nigga. So to me, the Bears got a lot of issues going on, but to fire Matt Eberflus, this is just continuing to show me bad organizations are bad for a reason. To give up on a year and a half head coach is insane, especially when he was not putting together a trash ass. He was not as nowhere near. I don't even like putting him in the same sentence as this nigga, but they acting like the dude was as bad as Urban Meyer was in Jacksonville. That's not the case. Like, I really don't understand the Matt Eberflus firing other than stupidity by the Bears and just loudmouth ass fans in Chicago. You saw Keenan Allen and you saw all the talent that you had on offense, and you said we should be over 500. What you didn't take into account was Caleb Williams is a fucking rookie, and he might not look like Jaden Daniels. You didn't even think Jaden Daniels was gonna like that, but to expect that he and his head coach and this team was supposed to have it all figured out in the first year, to me, is crazy. Just because CJ Stroud did it last year. Have you ever thought to yourself, the quarterback have to have some type of talent also? He got to be ahead of the curve also. It can't just be the head coach. And now, let's say you get a new head coach in there and it don't go good. No, in Chicago, they'll probably give him 2 years. If he lucky, he'll get to 3. But then you bring somebody else in, and Caleb Williams on his third on his third head coach, on another offensive coordinator. This is why I don't like it when I hear fans constantly talk about, oh, this quarterback done had multiple coaches and multiple head offensive coordinators. Well, you niggas sit back as a peanut gallery and be cheering for these niggas to be fired anyways. So I don't understand it, to be honest with you, but Chicago ended up losing this game 12-30. Atlanta won their game 15-9. Minnesota, they did a lot for themselves tonight because they watched Detroit lose on Sunday. So now they have the exact same record as Detroit. They lost to Detroit earlier this season, though. That's why they are behind Detroit right now in the rankings. I think they play Detroit again, though, this year. Either way, it's going to be a good finish. Now, it's going to be rough for Detroit, man, because Detroit done lost so many defensive starters and so many plate pieces on that defense. And they just lost, they could have just lost Montgomery for the year. So Detroit, man, with all that talent they had, the fact that they starting to lose a lot of it, and I already didn't think the defense was great when they had a lot of that talent there. Now they losing those pieces. It's going to be rough for Detroit, especially when you look at yesterday. They gave up 48 points. Now, Buffalo's defense gave up 42 points, so that's crazy because Buffalo's defense been giving up a couple points the last couple games. But when you look at Detroit and all the pieces they losing, I would not be surprised if Minnesota end up taking this division. I'm not going to lie. Minnesota can sneak up and take it, because I wouldn't be shocked if Detroit falter these last 3 games. Matter of fact, I need to see who Detroit playing, to be completely honest with you. I don't know Detroit's last 3 games, but I think one of their last 3 games is Minnesota. I don't think they done played Minnesota twice this year. And they might play the Packers. No, they done beat the Packers twice. They have beaten the Packers twice. That was not good for me, seeing as I'm a resident Packer fan at times because of my love for Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur. Anyways. The Rams in San Francisco played on Thursday night. It was 12-6 last week. San Francisco's not going to make the playoffs. It's over for them. Debo getting cooked online. Debo done carried himself in such a bad way this season also. The things he done, you really start to see a player's true character in the midst of losing. You know, it's one thing to carry yourself a certain way when you're winning and everything good and you the best team in the NFC and you feeling on top of the world and you beating everybody's ass. It's easy to walk around the building like that. But now you're going through turmoil, things not looking great. And look at how Debo done carried himself. I'm starting to really see why niggas call receivers divas. I'm really starting to see it. Shout out to Kobe Turner also, defensive lineman for the Los Angeles Rams. I don't know if you guys watched The Masked Singer, but he was the goo on The Masked Singer this season. I'm not happy that he did not end up winning because I think he had the best voice on the show. The last contestants I think is between the Wasp and the Buffaloes. I have no fucking clue who these Buffalo are. I can't even think of a 3-boy band group, or no, these is grown ass men, I believe. But I can't think of a group of dudes who sing this good, who sound like this, that steals Buffaloes. Like maybe somebody, and I haven't cheated myself by looking up who it could be. I'm pretty sure that the Wasp is Mario. I done known that nigga was Mario from the beginning. Any black person I grew up listening to, I'ma know their voice off rip, and I'm almost certain Mario is the Wasp. But Kobe Turner, I did not know that was him under that mask the whole time. That nigga's voice is amazing. That nigga could retire right now and get a record deal. That's how good his voice is. I was blown away. He sung House of the Rising Sun and he sung Lose Control. He murked the fuck out of them tracks. He also sung another song, bro, in his elimination where he got the episode where he got saved. He sung that shit better than Mario. Well, he sung the shit better than the Wasp to me. And the Wasp ended up winning. I don't know what the fuck those judges was hearing. To me, Kobe Turner by far had his voice was just so powerful. I think he really hold himself on that song choice at the end. It's not that he didn't sing it great. It didn't do for his voice what some of them other songs did for his voice. Like Lose Control was just magnificent. House of the Rising Sun was magnificent. I don't really like that he and I mean, he was in that round, but he made it to the thing. I don't like that he got eliminated. I thought he had the best voice, but it makes sense that he would lose to a Mario or them 3 Buffalo, because them is probably 4 actual singers. Well, I know for a fact Mario is, but I get it. But either way, shout out to Kobe Turner, Los Angeles Rams. Going over some of these Week 15 scores before we get into playoff talk. Dallas went into Carolina. They pick up a win 30-14. They moved to 6-8 on the season. Dallas still got a slight chance of making the playoffs. As soon as Washington wins their next game, though, it's over for Dallas. They can't make the playoffs. The Jets go into Jacksonville and they pick up a win 32-25. Trevor Lawrence is still not playing right now. Mac Jones, turnover problem. Just keep on turning that thing over. On a weekly basis. They're just turning that thing over. Washington winning in New Orleans, and this was an interesting game. They ended up winning it 20-19. I know a lot of people have a problem with the referee in it when they call that play dead in this game. Washington is an interesting team to me, man, because I just don't think, as good as I think Jaden Daniels is, I still think Washington is a team. I think the problem is Washington is playing in the NFC, and there's so many bad teams in the NFC, or so many teams that can be had in the NFC. I don't know if Washington would have this record if you put them in the AFC, but they not in the AFC. Because when I look at Washington, I don't see a bad team by any means necessary, but I don't see a playoff team. Like, I don't think Washington is as good as an Eagle team. I don't think they good. I don't even want to go through all the teams that I think because they still in the NFC, so they are a playoff team in the NFC. But they don't look as good as some of those top team NFC teams to me. Now, they might get a Detroit because Detroit done got so many injuries at the helm. So they could beat a Detroit now. They could go in and beat Los Angeles Rams. But I don't think that Washington look like an upper echelon NFC team right now. I do think they with an off season, Washington going to be a problem. Cincinnati was in Tennessee. They ended up winning 37-27. They moved to 6-8. The best thing that happened for Cincinnati this Sunday was that who those teams? Denver did not lose. They needed Denver to lose. Denver did not lose. But a couple teams lost that they needed to lose. Indy lost. They needed that to happen. Where this other team at? Miami lost. They needed that. The Chargers lost. They needed that. So it was a pretty good Sunday for Cincinnati. These niggas still ain't making the playoffs. What they need to happen is not gonna happen. They need Cincinnati. Cincinnati basically need Washington. Not Washington. They need Denver to lose out, which I do not see happening. They need the Chargers to basically lose out. Not gonna happen. And they need the Dolphins. They need the Dolphins to lose out. I believe they need where this other team at? They need Indy to lose out. And they have to win out. That's not gonna happen. If it does happen though, and the Cincinnati Bengals made the playoffs, that will just be so fucking hilarious to me. Because I done been talking so much shit that I will have no other thing to do but to just chuckle at it. But I can't imagine the conversation that would be around Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, or Josh Allen if them niggas missed the playoffs fully healthy. And I'm not trying to hear, oh, look at Joe Burrow defense. Josh Allen done played with a bad defense. Lamar done played with a bad defense. Mahomes done played with a bad defense. Manning done played with a bad defense. Brady done played with a bad defense. Joe Burrow is not some special fucking quarterback who's the only quarterback to ever have a bad defense. We not asking Joe Burrow to get to the Super Bowl. I know a lot of people is. We saying make the playoffs, my nigga. He can't even do that. And it's not, and I can almost guarantee you, at the time of all those other great quarterbacks having bad defenses, they didn't have T. Higgins or Jamar Chase at their disposal. No disrespect to their tight end. I know they got a stud tight end also, but I'm focused on them two stud receivers. Those other quarterbacks more than likely didn't have them two studs running around at receiver with those trash can ass defenses. Aaron Rodgers used to make the playoffs all the time with a bad Green Bay defense. So this excuse that we continue to make for this excuse that niggas continue to make for Joe Burrow, I'm not trying to hear it. Oh, it's not on Joe Burrow. Like I said on Twitter this weekend under this post that some Cincinnati fans made. I said, boy, y'all niggas like to hold every quarterback responsible except for Joe Burrow. Now I tweeted that with knowing I was never gonna respond to none of them niggas who commented on it. I knew I was never gonna do that. I just wanted to put that out there because I see Cincinnati fans talk about every quarterback. But you don't want to talk about Joe Burrow blowing that game against Kansas City with the fumble. You don't want to talk about Joe Burrow blowing that game against Baltimore with that turnover, with the interception when they was driving to take a 2-score lead. You don't want to talk about the turnovers Joe Burrow done had in some of these losses that were key turnovers that contributed to the losses. What's also very interesting to me, Joe Burrow's defense had 4 turnovers. No. Joe Burrow's defense had about 5-6 turnovers in Tennessee. I didn't see nobody giving credit to that defense. But I see everybody. I don't see nobody talking about Joe Burrow had 2 interceptions and a fumble in that game. I don't see nobody talking about Joe Burrow's how the defense played in the last game for Cincinnati that allowed Joe Burrow. Mind you, Joe Burrow and the offense were terrible against Dallas. They should have lost that game. Cincinnati's defense was great against Dallas. They gave Cincinnati's offense chance after chance after chance to take the lead in that game. Cincinnati won that defense because of Dallas's stupidity. But it's never on Joe Burrow. But Joe Burrow, the nigga throwing the football. But it's never on Joe Burrow. This is why you Cincinnati fans are clowns to me. This is why you always will remain clowns to me. Most Buffalo fans are no different. I saw a Buffalo fan talk about today that Josh Allen is light years better than Lamar Jackson, and he's separating himself. And somebody was like, why do you feel that way? And he was like, well, I just look at the stats. And somebody said, well, look at Lamar's stats to Josh Allen's this year, what would you say? He said, well, I would say Lamar Jackson got more talent at his disposal. And then the dude said, well, what would you say about Josh Allen having more talent at his disposal previous years than Lamar Jackson? Dude didn't have nothing to say. Some of you fans are just fucking idiots. You do not have to hate every other quarterback just because your quarterback, you love your quarterback. That's the most insane trend I see from fans on a year-to-year basis. Because Joe Burrow is my quarterback, I'm going to talk about how bad Mahomes and Lamar is, or Josh Allen is, how they need refs to bail them out, and I'm going to hold them accountable for every little thing, even when it's not their fault. But God forbid we talk about Joe Burrow. Because I can promise you right now, Lamar Jackson could be having the exact same season, the numbers he having right now. And if the Ravens were about to miss the playoffs, I can almost guarantee you Cincinnati fans would still say, well, Lamar Jackson, the quarterback of the team, empty calories, stats don't matter. It was moronic ass Buffalo fans saying that Lamar Jackson was padding his stats against the Giants. My nigga, it was the second quarter and they was saying he was padding stats. Yet, Josh Allen, instead of just handing the ball to his running back every time he in the red zone when he had Stephon Diggs, what did he do? He took a cheap touchdown every time. Or he ran it in himself. It's very funny how running touchdowns did not matter with Lamar, but they matter for Josh Allen this year, that we trying to make the case for him for MVP. It's very interesting. I wouldn't mind Josh Allen winning MVP. I'm not going to get mad at it at all. Do I think he having a better season than Lamar Jackson? Absolutely not. And some people will say, well, you know, last year Josh Allen had the better numbers than Lamar. Josh Allen wasn't better than Lamar Jackson last year either. Last year, Lamar Jackson was better than him. The only reason Lamar Jackson's numbers didn't look better because Lamar Jackson did not take touchdowns out of his players' hands. Also, Josh Allen didn't beat the teams Lamar was beating last year. I'm not saying that Josh Allen couldn't. I'm just saying he didn't. Josh Allen haven't beaten more good teams this year, but that Lions win, I knew people were going to try to use that as this was his MVP performance. I done told y'all time after time again how I feel about Detroit and how I feel about Detroit going up against Lamar, Burrow, Allen, or Mahomes. They great against all them NFC teams, but when they got to play against them big dogs, they are completely different. Now, granted, they put up a lot of points and came back in this game. That's got more to do with how bad the Bills' defense has become. However, Josh Allen did exactly what I expected him to do. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Allen win MVP. They're going to keep ignoring that he lost to Lamar this year. They're going to ignore that his stats are nowhere near as good as Lamar. They're going to ignore that he has not been anywhere near the quarterback or player that Lamar Jackson has been this year. That does not bother me, however. I could care less about that. To me, what hurt Lamar Jackson was losing against the Eagles, losing against the Steelers. And were those losses on him? Not necessarily, but he played a part in those losses. Cincinnati fans, sit back and watch how a fan of a team can actually be critical of his quarterback. Doofuses. But Lamar Jackson didn't have his best game against the Philadelphia Eagles. He missed some throws in that game, and I understand how bad Justin Tucker was in that game. I get it. I fully understand how bad Justin Tucker is. And I understand if he hit them kicks he missed, the Ravens win those games. that game. However, if Lamar Jackson hit some of the throws he missed, and he don't normally miss those throws that he missed, they also win that game. And against the and I understand now, I'm not going back to certain games this year because certain games weren't on Lamar. The Raiders game, that's on the defense. What's that other game they lost early this season? The Kansas City Chiefs game. That's just a great game. I ain't got no complaints about that. That's why I haven't went back and referenced that game this year. But who we just lost? Oh yeah, Pittsburgh. The Pittsburgh game is hard for me to really put that one on Lamar, but he wasn't at his best in that Pittsburgh game to me either. You can put that on him. You can put that on Todd Monken. They weren't at their best in that Pittsburgh game either because the defense gave them what they needed to give them, and they didn't get it done. Now, I understand that Justice Hill had a freakish turnover type play that happened to him, but if Lamar is better in those games, and like I said before, to expect Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, any of these great players, to expect them to be great, like unbelievably great for 17 games out of this season, all 7, it's not fair to them, to be honest with you. You got to leave room for them to have 2-3 bad games in there. It's just their greatness that allows them to have a ton of great games. Now, to ignore a lot of these stinkers that Josh Allen had this year is hilarious also, but nonetheless, I think that Eagles game and that Steelers game really hurt Lamar. Even if he beat the Steelers Saturday, I don't think it'll really do much because they want to give MVP to Josh Allen. Like, they are doing everything in their power to try to get this man that MVP. And I personally, I really don't give a damn about the MVP. Like, I'm not one of these doofus ass Raven fans who keep saying, we don't care about MVP, we want that Super Bowl. My nigga, it's not your resume. It's really not. Like, I want Lamar Jackson to win as many MVPs and Super Bowl MVPs as he possibly can. I don't understand what's the problem with him winning an MVP and a Super Bowl in the same year. Like, niggas who keep saying, I don't want him to win an MVP, I want him to win it. Bro, shut the fuck up, bro. It's not your resume. And that's just, bro, retard. Oh my God, bro. Niggas just say the damnedest things, bro. I swear to you. Niggas just say the damnedest things. But shout out to my guy Josh Allen. I do fuck with Josh Allen, but I don't. While I don't think he done been better than Lamar Jackson in any way this year, I'm not gonna be mad if he win MVP. Long as Joe Burrow don't win that bitch. That's all I care about, to be completely honest with you. I do tire of listening to these moronic ass Buffalo Bills fans. These niggas are just fucking idiots at this point. I do not understand how they continuously hate Lamar and talk so much shit about Lamar. It really don't make sense to me. But, you know, I digress. Kansas City was in Cleveland. They win 21-7. Pat Mahomes with his yearly fake injury or yearly injury scare towards the end of the season, to where niggas start thinking, oh, we might be able to beat him because Pat Mahomes hurt. And then Pat Mahomes come out healthy and start making a whole bunch of crazy plays, make a running play that change the game. Like, I'm not falling for this Pat Mahomes fake injury shit. The offensive line for Kansas City is going to have to be better, though. It's not good enough right now. If they want to win a Super Bowl. You want to know something else about Kansas? I don't think Kansas City, the one thing that we give Kansas City every year is like, oh, it's Pat Mahomes, it's Andy Reid. They done been there, done that, so we give them that. This could be the year. Now, we said that last year also, so that's the nature of being a big dog. But this really could be the year that Kansas City get knocked off by Buffalo or Baltimore. Granted, when Kansas City get into that playoffs, man, that is just another, it's a different monster. Jameis Winston, I don't know what God was doing when Jameis prayed to him about these pick sixes, these interceptions. Maybe he was busy answering another prayer, or maybe he was asleep. I don't know. But I would like to also shoot up a Hail Mary for Jameis, just in case God didn't receive Jameis's Hail Mary. Because Jameis threw 3 interceptions again. Now, Jameis is just going to have to realize, because I saw him say, these turnovers, they just not me. They are you, Jameis. And I hate to say that, because you are one of my favorite human beings to watch, to listen to. I enjoy you. Pause. But turnovers should probably be your middle name, my guy. Because you do turn that thing over a lot. You do turn that cowhide over a lot, my boy. And that's okay. Well, nope, it's not okay. It is not okay. The Ravens lost to these niggas. Defense gave up that shot. Dropped like 4-5 interceptions. That's what you think about when you know, what would I say? When you fucking multiple games in with interceptions. No, matter of fact, when you the Ravens and you see so many teams pick off Jameis this many times, and you look back at your games and say, wow, if we had to just caught the interceptions he gave us, we win that game. And we sitting at 10-4 rather than 9-5. Anyways, we move. Miami lost to Houston 12-20 down. A lot of people talking about Miami after this game. To me, the biggest problem with Miami after this game is really Mike McDonald. The fact that Mike McDaniels. The fact that Mike McDaniels is like 2-20 against teams over 500 is insane to me. That does not get talked about enough. And I talked about it last year. We like to put this shit on Tua. It is not just on Tua. Mike McDaniels going into these games against top tier teams. How many times we done seen his teams just not compete in some of those games? Like against the Ravens, he be getting their asses waxed. Against the Chiefs, like how many times we done seen them lose against Buffalo? Buffalo is in a division. They play Buffalo 2 times a year. They should have figured out how to beat Buffalo at least once or twice. The Steelers might not have the quarterback that match Lamar, but they done figured out how to beat him. So I don't want to hear, oh, they got Josh Allen. Bro, you play these niggas twice a year. Also, to talk about Josh Allen's MVP status, I saw somebody say Lamar can't even win his own division. For one, Lamar done won his division and the AFC multiple times. 2, my nigga, the Steelers, the Bengals, the Cleveland Browns are far better teams than the Patriots, the Dolphins, and the fucking Jets, bro. Stop it. The Jets and the Patriots haven't even been competitive in like the last fucking 4 or 5 years. That should not play into him winning his division, that weak-ass division. Lamar and Burrow play in the hardest division out of the top quarterbacks in the AFC. Pat Mahomes got the Raiders twice a year, the Chargers twice a year. And I understand you might think the Chargers are better now, but I just watched them niggas get waxed by Baker Mayfield in the Tampa Bay. So let's just hold off on that. They play against the Broncos twice a year, and I understand how good the Broncos look. But the Broncos just looked good this year. They haven't looked good in the past. And I just talked about Josh Allen's division. Hell, if you love CJ Stroud, look at the niggas in his division. The Titans. With turnover-prone Will Levis. Nigga had 4 turnovers this weekend. 3 picks and a lost fumble. Then you got the Colts in your division. Anthony Richardson is just not a good quarterback. It's just as simple as that. He is not a good quarterback right now. Maybe he'll become one. I don't know. Like the offseason, maybe his first offseason didn't go as planned because he was hurt. This next offseason gonna mean everything for Anthony Richardson because he is just not good enough right now. This offense gonna mean everything for not just Anthony Richardson, but for his coaches because they gonna have to figure something out. The Colts look bad to me. Jonathan Taylor, his fumble in that game, but you look at these divisions and then you look at the division that Lamar and Burrow play in. Lamar and Burrow got to play each other twice a year. Then they got to play the Steelers twice a year. And who knows what Cleveland Browns going to show up. Maybe it'll be a good version of them. Maybe it'll be this bad version. But this bad version of them beat the Steelers and the Ravens. Because they still a great coach team with a lot of talent. They just have a problem at the quarterback position. But Miami's inability to beat good teams on a year-to-year basis, that's a problem. And to me, now, people always try to put everything on the coaches. This is a coaching problem. I actually think this is a coach and a quarterback problem. And sometimes I lean more one way than the other. Example, in Dallas, people will say they have a quarterback problem, right? But I actually think, in Dallas, people will say Mike McCarthy can't win us the big game. I think it's more Dak than Mike McCarthy. I done seen Mike McCarthy win big games. But in some situations, like Miami, I don't think it's just Tua. I do think Tua is a limited quarterback. But I think it's Mike McDaniels also. I don't think he coaches best games in some of these big games. I actually think sometimes his offense it's worse in some of these big games. But that's just me. Houston just still don't look great to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know at this current moment, because I'm looking at the AFC playoffs, right? And you got Chiefs, Bills, Steelers, Texans in that order. Those are the top 4 teams. Then you look at Ravens, Broncos, Chargers. Those are 3 wild card teams. And on the bubble is the Colts, the Dolphins, and the Bengals. They all sitting at 6 and 8. When you look at those Ravens, Broncos, Chargers, the Texans, I don't think they play the Ravens on Christmas Day on Netflix. And that's going to be an interesting game because I don't think the Texans can beat. I think the Texans could lose to the Broncos, the Chargers, and the Ravens with how they playing right now. I think this could be a one and done team. The interesting thing to me about the AFC playoffs is that this truly could be. I won't understand if the Ravens don't win. The Ravens, to me, is the scariest team in the playoffs in the AFC. For the simple reason, the Chiefs are not a prolific offense. Neither are the Bills. I know the Bills have scored a lot of points the last couple weeks playing against bad defenses, but the Bills are not a prolific offense for the majority of the season. The Steelers are not a prolific offense. The Texans are not a prolific offense. The Broncos are not a prolific offense. Neither are the Chargers. The Ravens have by far the best offense in the AFC. If the Ravens play their best, it's no reason they should not beat every single one of these teams in the AFC. That would be my problem with the Ravens this year. You can say all you want to about these past Raven teams and why they didn't win, yada, yada, yada. But I'm looking at this Ravens team this year. And the Ravens offense is by far, to me, at its best, it's no team in the AFC playoffs right now that can match the Ravens' offensive power when the Ravens are at their best. The only other team that could put up the points that, to me, the Ravens can put up at their best is Cincinnati. Cincinnati ain't making the playoffs. I will be... In these previous years, you haven't seen me be irritated with the Ravens. You are, well, as far as them losing in the playoffs, you will see a side of me that you have never seen if the Ravens do not make the Super Bowl this year, if they remain healthy. Because the Ravens should be able to outscore the Chiefs. And I don't give a damn where the Ravens play. The Ravens at their best should be able to go into any of these teams' building and be able to put up more points than them. Do the Chiefs have a great defense? Absolutely. The Chiefs' defense has not looked the same the last couple weeks. I watched Baker Mayfield and Bryce Young walk them niggas down and have to have Pat Mahomes save them. I watched Bo Nix walk that defense down and need Pat Mahomes to save him. So the Chiefs' defense can be had. I just watched two teams put up a crazy amount of points on the Bills' defense. The Steelers' defense is phenomenal. I take nothing away from the Steelers' defense. They by far to me are the best defense in the AFC. They are another team that I can see running the table in the AFC because of that defense and the coaching. But the Ravens should be able to beat them also if they stop beating themselves. They should be able to beat the Texans and the Broncos and the Chargers, 2 teams they already done beat this year anyways. And they beat the Bills this year, and they could end up beating the Texans this year, which means, and if they beat the Steelers, that would mean the Ravens have beaten every single fucking AFC team this year, aside from the Chiefs, who they lost to because of a toe. That will be my frustrations with the Ravens if they don't make the Super Bowl this year. Because not only have they played against every single team they gonna see in the playoffs this year, they are the better offense. Every year they could have looked at the offense and said, we got Lamar, but that team still probably had a better offense because they got players here. The Ravens are the best offense in the AFC this year. It is absolutely no reason why the Ravens should not end up winning getting to a Super Bowl this year. But we move. Baltimore was in New York. You know, Lamar Jackson has only lost to 2 NFC teams. One of those teams was the Giants a couple years ago. He avenged that loss with a 35-14 win, a Jackson 5 type of day. He was great. He fumbled the ball on the opening snap. They had punted the ball on their second snap, and then they did not look back after that. Big day for Rashad Bateman. He had 2 touchdown passes. Probably would have had another one. Lamar Jackson missed him on a deep shot. The Ravens look great. Justice Hill is a stud. Derrick Henry is a stud. I love what the offense is doing. I love when the offense pass the ball like this. Lamar Jackson is an unbelievable quarterback with his legs, with his arm. I mean, the motherfucker is just generational. The defense looked good. My problem, however, with the defense is one of the touchdowns that the Giants scored was because the Ravens did everything in their power to get the Giants into the end zone. I think they had 5 or 6 fucking penalties on a drive that got the Giants into the end zone. 2 of those penalties came when they already had stopped the Giants on 3rd down. So, like I will continue to say, the one thing that can fuck the Ravens, well, the 2 things, is that defense and the penalties that this team continue to collect. The offense did not get penalized a lot this game, if at all this game. The defense, rampant. So the Ravens still gonna have to figure that out. Shout out to John Harbaugh. Still a great coach. Raven fans are very fucking annoying. Tampa Bay was in LA taking on the Chargers, and they put belt to fucking ass. 40-17. Now I want to talk about this game. You see, I have been critical of Justin Herbert. I done talked about Justin Herbert, and more of that has to do with him being rated so high in these quarterback rankings because you can throw a ball and you rack up a lot of stats because you had great talent around you, but you really didn't win anything of value. Like, you didn't get to the playoffs often. You only got to the playoffs once and you lost that game. I don't like that Justin Herbert constantly was being put on these high rankings, and then niggas like to use, oh, you know, his team. Justin Herbert done had talent on that Chargers team. And if he the quarterback that you say he is, he done had the talent to where he should have been making deep runs in the playoffs to this point in his career. This year, however, it's just no offensive talent. I don't think Gus Edwards is a great running back. J.K. Dobbins is always hurt. He doesn't have a legitimate, reliable tight end or receiver. His best the best pieces of the offense is probably the offensive line. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't understand why Jim Harbaugh got rid of all of the offensive talent on his team. Maybe they plan on replenishing it this year, but my goodness. My goodness, it's just not much that Justin Herbert, as good as I think he is, and I do think Justin Herbert is a good quarterback, I do not believe Justin Herbert is a Lamar Jackson, Pat Mahomes type of quarterback where he make everybody around him so much better. You know, when the odds is stacked against him, he can just, him being there, his presence and his talent can get them over that hump. I don't believe he that type of quarterback. I think Josh Allen is borderline that quarterback, but I have to defend Justin Herbert. It's just no talent. He does not have. When you, as a defense, I done said this multiple times. As a defense, who on that offense scares you? You look at the Chargers offense, it's not a soul on that offense that scares you. You say, if we do our jobs, play our assignments properly, we don't care how good Justin Herbert is, we should win this game. And that's exactly what the Tampa Bay did. This is why you never hear me say, when I talk about how great some of those teams in the AFC is, and I say, like, I would take the Ravens or the Chiefs or the Josh Allen and Burrow over any team in the NFC. There's a reason I never say Justin Herbert. There's a reason. Because I don't think that you saw what Lamar Jackson did to Tampa Bay this year. Baker is not better than Justin Herbert, but Justin Herbert is not Lamar Jackson. So that's a closer matchup than people would like to believe. Not to mention, Todd Bowles has proven to be a very good head coach. I don't think he get enough credit for how good a head coach he is. That was a great hire by Bruce Arians. But on top of that, it's just, look at the offense for the Chargers. I didn't agree with that shit they kept saying these previous. Oh, he don't got no help. He don't got. Now you really ain't got help. Austin Eckler gone. Mike Williams gone. Keenan Allen gone. I mean, you don't have anything. You have, and I don't even know how you build back up this talent pool on the offensive side of the ball unless you plan on going out there and spending an ass load of money in the offseason to get it all back in 1 year, because this is not a team. The Broncos, I don't think that Jim Harbaugh realized that you are not playing in a conference where you can walk around with just a good quarterback who is not the best in the conference and no weapons. You have, it's like these niggas don't. I understand that Joe Burrow is not going to have Jamar Chase and T. Higgins at his disposal forever, but he got them niggas right now. So I don't understand why you would believe you can walk around with no talent at your disposal on the offensive side of the ball. The Ravens learned that. The Chiefs understand that. The Bills learned that this year. That's why they went and made that trade. For Jim Harbaugh to believe that just off of Herbert's talent alone, they can beat some of these ultra talented teams. They almost lost to the Bengals this year, even with and I understand they beat the Bengals, but if the Bengals defense and they didn't have some of the mistakes and start slow like they do, because the Bengals started slow in that game, the Bengals probably win that game. Like, I just don't think if you're the Chargers, you can rely on, because I think the Chargers are a one and done team in the playoffs. You just don't have the offensive talent. Bro, if Baltimore come into your building and start the game 3 drives, they score and you don't, you lost. If the Chiefs start off the game and they score 3 times and you don't, you've lost. Most of these teams, if you get off to a slow start as a Chargers team, you're probably going to lose. Because you don't have the offensive weaponry that can just make big plays or get you back in it quick. Like a Cincinnati can. Like a Baltimore can. Like, and this is more so because of Josh Allen, Lamar, and Pat's talent, they can get you back in the game relatively quick. But it's very rare that you see Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, Lamar go down by like huge. Well, more so, you don't really see those quarterbacks go down by big scores. It's rare. Like, I know we saw Mahomes. I mean, we saw Allen and Burrow go down by big scores this year in a game, but the game didn't finish with them getting their asses blasted. Because for the most part, those quarterbacks is going to keep you in the game. Now, I understand there's a lot of talent over in Cincinnati, but nonetheless, I don't think you can say that about the Chargers. If they give up a good 21 points early, that's probably the game, because they just don't have the requisite talent to get back into it. And I think that's the biggest thing that's going to hold the Chargers back this year. They just don't have talent on that offensive side of the ball. And I think it's very ignorant to ask your quarterback to work with nothing. That's why Tom Brady left the Patriots. But we move. Pittsburgh was in Philadelphia to battle of Pennsylvania. I read a stat that the Steelers haven't won this game in God knows how long. They wouldn't win it again Sunday. They lose 13-27. Philadelphia's defense showed up in a big way. They had Russell Wilson struggling all game. There was no Pickens there, however. So that also contributed to the rough game. And the Eagles' defense has just looked great in the last couple weeks also. And not to mention, I told you, I thought the Eagles were the best team in the NFC. And yeah, they starting to look like it. The passing game that we had heard so much about over the last weekend or so because of the Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown drama. These receivers, man. These receivers. Only the Eagles could still be winning. And A.J. Brown be mad because he ain't getting the touches. Nigga already got paid. Unbelievable. Nonetheless, the Eagles end up picking up a win. They have a great day passing. Do I think the Eagles can rely on the passing game all the time? No. But I do believe that people thinking that the Eagles can't pass at all just because they don't always, pass the ball all game is insane to me. You got Saquon for y'all niggas literally was saying Saquon was the MVP. But then you got idiots like Acho in the media. Oh yeah, Jalen Hurts is the problem. Like, bro, shut the fuck up, bro. Like Jalen Hurts said, I thought the goal was winning. Confused. But we move. New England was in Arizona. They lose 17-30. Indy was in Denver. They lose 13-30. And Buffalo was in Detroit. They win 48-42. The NFC playoff picture. In order. Detroit, Philly, Tampa, Rams. Yes, because the Rams ended up Green Bay ended up beating Seattle 30-13 on Sunday Night Football. Geno Smith got hurt in this game. Once Geno went down, this game was definitely over, bro. Yo. Who was the backup in this game? I'm trying to remember Buddy's name. Because the backup was absolute ass cheeks. I am struggling to remember this nigga's name at the moment, bro. But the Seattle quarterback, their backup quarterback is absolute fucking cheeks, yo. Sam Howell. Oh my God. Sam. Maybe it was just because he didn't expect a play. But my goodness, Sam Howell looked terrible. Nonetheless, the Los Angeles Rams appreciate that L by the Seattle because they hold the fourth playoff spot. Now, when I was talking about earlier, it was a slight chance for another team to make the playoffs. I was talking about the Falcons because the Falcons are sitting at where are the Falcons at 7-7 right now, and Tampa is sitting at 8-6. So technically, Tampa can lose out, or Tampa can lose 2 games, and Atlanta win out and make the playoffs. Because Atlanta, and if they end up with a tie, Atlanta gonna make the playoffs anyways because they hold the tiebreakers. But you just never know. I'm not willing to make a big proclamation. I kind of want to take the Bucks, but I told y'all I would never bet on Baker again after betting on him earlier this year. He threw 3 or 4 interceptions in that game. So I'm not taking Baker. I'm not putting my faith in him, but I'm also not going to put it in Kirk Cousins. So we both going to be entertained by the end of this shit. You dig? But the 3 wild cards, Minnesota, Green Bay, and Washington. Green Bay and Minnesota are 100% going to make the playoffs. I'm going to tell you what's very interesting. This is why I keep saying that the NFC South is, I get annoyed when people give Baker all this love and shit. Oh, he's so good. He's so good. My nigga. They finished last season 9-8 or 8-9. 1 game above 500. They are 8-6 right now. Yes, they are 2 games above 500. There are 2 teams in the playoffs. All 3 wild card teams have a better record than Tampa Bay. Now, all 3 wild card teams also have a better record than the Los Angeles Rams. However, I don't hear niggas on TV, except for Dan Orlovsky, dick riding the Rams and Matthew Stafford off of winning a division that is clearly weak this year. And it's not even that weak. It's just not what it usually is. However, Washington is 9-5. Green Bay is 10-4. Minnesota is 12-2. Seattle is not even in the playoffs, and they're sitting at 8-6. The exact same fucking record as Tampa Bay. If I gotta keep hearing niggas dick ride Baker midfield, bro. Oh my God. I'm starting not to even. I'm back to watching no sound on Monday Night Footballs because the way Joe Aikman will dick ride these white quarterbacks, I gotta watch this nigga critique Lamar Jackson every fucking time he play. Every time Lamar Jackson play, he ball out, and the only thing Aikman care about, well, he hasn't won a Super Bowl. He done watched all these other quarterbacks. Baker is in the same draft as Lamar Jackson. The same draft. He was the first pick in that draft. You ain't not one time heard him say about Baker, Baker really needs to win a Super Bowl. It's as if it's okay to be bad. And I understand people say, well, Lamar Jackson is great, so that comes with being great. What comes with being trash? Because they overhype and praise Baker and average quarterbacks all the time. And they're so quick to it can't work like that. That cannot be the price of greatness, where your greatness is never recognized until you win that Super Bowl. Because I watch niggas give Josh Allen love all the time. I watch people give Joe Burrow love all the time. Neither one of them niggas is Super Bowl champions. But we accept their greatness, and they haven't won a Super Bowl. I see niggas boosting Baker all the time. This is probably like the third week in a row where Baker is not on Monday Night Football, but Troy Aikman is dick glazing this nigga. But every time I watch Lamar play with Troy Aikman on the call, I gotta watch him critique Lamar for the whole game. It's interesting. It's very interesting. The AFC playoff picture is pretty much set. I truly do believe that every team in the playoffs right now for the AFC is going to make it. The only change that could be made in the NFC right now is the Tampa Bay, Atlanta one, or possibly Seattle and LA. If Seattle does not get Geno back, they are not making the playoffs. I do not think there is a chance for a wild card for any team right now, because Minnesota and Green Bay is making the wild card. Like, they are making it. They are 12 and one of them got 12 wins, the other one got 10 wins. They are both making it. They would have to have a colossal collapse in order not to make it. Washington can end up winning. If Washington win two of it, well, for one, if Washington won the next game, Dallas can't make it. But I'm not even focused on Dallas. If Washington wins two more games, that probably fucks Seattle, because the team that if you Seattle, you can get for Seattle, you still got a lot going for you if Geno is healthy. Because the three things you got going is LA can still lose enough games for you to win that division, so you ain't even got to worry about the wild card. But let's say LA keep winning and they end up winning the division. Well, it's still a path for you, a slight path, but a path nonetheless. Because right now you're only one game back of Washington. If Washington lose out and you win out, then you take Washington's spot. It's highly unlikely that Green Bay is going to lose the next three games they play. As a matter of fact, if Green Bay loses out and you Seattle win out, then you also have another path into the playoffs. The chances of Green Bay losing three games, though, to close out the regular season is just highly unlikely. Now, the flip side is also, if Green Bay win the next two games, or if Green Bay win two of their next three games, they end anyways, because Seattle wouldn't be able to get to 12 wins. The most wins Seattle can get to is 11. Meaning Seattle can't take Minnesota's spot anyways. Minnesota is 100% going to the playoffs, because Seattle can't get to... none of these teams on the bubble can get to 12 wins. The only thing that can happen to Minnesota is they could lose out those next three games and end up falling below Green Bay. But I don't even think that... Because Washington can only get to 12 wins. They can't get more than 12 wins. And Minnesota, to me, will definitely win another game this season. The biggest thing for Minnesota is they battling for the division, because they can still take this division from Detroit. So Minnesota got a lot to play for. With that being said, I appreciate you for joining me on the return episode of the recap. I truly do appreciate you. I apologize for being away for so long. I hope that does not happen again. But, you know, the body is an interesting thing. When a nigga is sick, a nigga is sick. But with that being said, I appreciate you for joining me on another episode of Kicking It of the Recap. It has been a joy. Tell somebody you fuck with them. Tell somebody you love them. You could be anything in this world. So please choose to be kind to somebody today. Like, subscribe, share. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I fuck with you. I love you. Sign out.
Y'all be asking that same question, how does it feel when we lose, bro? How do you think? You know what I'm saying? I gotta come up with another question than asking how does it feel when we lose, bro. I'm tired of hearing that.
I got the moves like hot sauce. Lil' mama taking the top off. I'm laying down getting topped off. After this, you know she getting knocked off. I know she loving the money, so I keep on thumbing and thumbing. She say she horny when she taking shots, so I keep them coming and coming. Now I'm putting dick in her tummy. Scoop her up like I'm raking her something. You would think shawty red track, the way that she running and running. You getting dumber and dumber. You out here chasing the bone. After she finished from giving me dome, the Uber is taking her home. Tight.